And it's time for us to have a conversation about the environment and natural resources. The Minerals Commission is in the studio. We're going to be talking about the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program. I am Malti Tisaida Sadek. And what's this program about? Well, it was launched 12 months ago, that's a year, by the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. There was a nationwide tour as well. It was launched in Tarkwa in the Western region. The initiative is aimed at helping to reduce the hardships that persons in these mining communities endure as a result of activities of Operation Halt in those areas. Now, the program is an intervention spearheaded by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. The program has 6 modules, which we'll be talking about, but they're the National Land Reclamation and Reforestation Program, the Agriculture and Agro-Processing, Apprenticeship, Skills Training and Entrepreneurship, Responsible, Viable and Sustainable Small-Scale Community Mining, Mine Support Services and Community Enhancements Projects. There's been a lot of talk about how to reclaim lands that have been destroyed by mining and the prosecution of persons who are engaged in galamsey, nationals and foreign nationals. And in the studio to help us dive into all of this is Dr. Louise Carol Serwaa Donkor, who is the coordinator of the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program. Doc, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much,
right.
TT. Right?
So, great to have you. So we'll be taking a sneak peek of what their work is really about, and then Doc and I will have the conversation around what they really do.
This is a project which is very dear to the President. Whatever it requires, whatever it needs, has been prepared.
Sana me kind. Mubenya breakfast, enya mo lunch edi, menya mo snacks. Afresu boy no a mubenya market no mienu. Be party amam. Amoni ade amam mo ne angoda mo dia. Ebi akoma oye ne mo ba ne ade ne mo ma me no omodi. Because December no you try come here full salary. Ebi about middle of the month, about so 31st. I'm a general no mo wan dey. Anchim.
Well, environmentalists say change is impossible if you do not have the mindset that you want to change. We're going to be talking about a lot of change, how we're reclaiming our lands, afforestation. I mean, watching that video, I just had thoughts, is this what the National Youth Authority has been doing? And is the National Alternative Employment Livelihood Program just augmenting these efforts by the NYA? Well, Dr. Louise Carol would give us more details about that. Doc, when we talk of this initiative, what really is it meant to do for the youth in Ghana?
Okay, Matiti, thank you very much for having me this morning. I'd like to say a very good morning to your listeners, to the good people of Ghana, to my minister, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel A. Jinapor, and, my colleagues who have been doing this great work, with me. Let's step back to have, some background as to why we have come here, like why we are where we are today, with regards to why we have the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program. So we have been hearing about Galamsey quite consistently and forcefully nowadays. But I think that it is very important for us to recognize that it did not start today. Somewhere in 1970, we knew about illegal mining, we knew about Galamsey. And so it has been years of degradation, decades of degradation that's brought us to where we are today, to this point where everyone now is talking about Galamsey. So people are now talking about Galamsey because they're seeing very tangible impacts of Galamsey on our environment, on our forests, our cocoa farms, or farms in general, in our water bodies as well. So we need to be able to construct that understanding that it is because of something. We are where we are today because of something. Because along the line, the process for mining changed. Of course, you will get a small-scale mining concession for 5 years. Within that 5 years, using your small-scale tools, you would be able to, make your money, do what you have to do. You sell to the government. The government is also able to make something out of it. But now, with the influx of course, we know with foreigners, with the influx of, and of course, there were some foreigners even from 1970. Honorable Elizabeth Ohine will tell you a story about when she was way younger and went to visit her aunt in Okwetia, with regards to diamonds. So, moving on from there is the need for us to be able to, find alternatives for them. Yes, there is Galamsey. Yes, the president sent Operation Halt. There's been Galam Stop. There's been all that. Once we made some good progress with stopping the illegal activities, what then happened was that people were, left without work. And as the president has always done, he makes the necessary interventions. He made intervention with free SHS. He made intervention with NAPCO. He made intervention with 1D, 1F. He's making interventions, planting for food and jobs. He came out with National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for illegal miners. And it's meant to achieve three things. One is to be able to restore our degraded lands. Two is to be able to find decent, sustainable employment or livelihoods for illegal miners. And the third one is to be able to promote and teach and instruct in the ways of legal and sustainable ways of mining. So those are the main aims of the program. Livelihood, giving them a new beginning, and, working on our lands. And then, of course, for those who have the proper licenses to work, to be able to guide them to do it well in a sustainable way. Because mind you, the government is not against mining. What the government is against is the illegal and unsustainable ways of doing it.
Right. So this initiative is aimed at creating over 220,000 direct and indirect jobs. Are these jobs part-time jobs that these miners will still be engaging in legal small-scale mining but be doing on the side, or they're just going to take this up as full-time jobs? Let's say it's afforestation, planting of seedlings, helping with recovering our degraded lands, water bodies, ways of cleaning the water. I know UMAT is doing a lot in that area, and courses for these young ones who are already in tertiary institutions, so that when they come out, they know the alternative ways to do better mining.
Yeah. So I will first go into a little detail or briefing on the modules that we have.
Right.
So there are 6 modules that we have to implement to be able to meet our goals. One being land reclamation and reforestation. We can talk about that. The second one being skills training, apprenticeship and entrepreneurship. We have mine support services. We have responsible, viable and sustainable small-scale mining. It's a good place for us to also focus on. We have community enhancement projects. So when you take the land reclamation and reforestation, that is the program which is meant to fix the lands.
Right.
It's a whole, it's a whole process. I'll say it's a whole scientific process. One of it is that once you go to, so we go to the field, we see the lands. You've seen some of the pictures, you've seen some of the videos. These undulating lands, they go up, they come down, very, 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 very deep pits. So there has to be a reconstruction for balance. And in the reconstruction, it's not just about putting sand in the dugout places, no. What happens is that, there is an environmental baseline study. We need to know the level at which the land has been polluted, what, pollutants or, the level of contamination, what pollutants are in and all of that. And there is a process to withdraw that from the soil.
Right.
Right. And then from there to reconstruct the surface of the land and then put topsoil, black soil, back on it to be able to support the vegetation or the life that originally it used to support. And we've done land reclamation in a number of places. And it's actually government money. Okay. I would bring that in, which we are using to reclaim the lands.
Okay.
Somebody would ask, why should government use our monies
to reclaim
for that?
These lands?
So, for instance, if you look at this, it's one of the hydrological representation.
Okay.
Combining our where we are doing land reclamation and the river body that is there.
Can you show it to your camera?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is Bream, right?
Okay.
So this is River Bream. We have that for Ankobra. We have that for Pra.
Right.
We have that for all the major, rivers that we are working around. So a couple of the places, well, a number of the places where we are reclaiming lands is on the Birim River. You go to Abomusu, you will see that. You go to Efiesa 1, Efiesa 2, Efiesa 3, you go to Apapam, you will see that. Those are communities on the Birim.
Right.
It's not only that. If you come to Ankobra, we have Nambro, we have Nkatia Susi, we have Suano. Please forgive me if I'm not mentioning some of the names correctly. Yeah. If you go to Pra, we have Adakabunso, we have Esiwa, so Adakabunso 1, Adakabunso 2, we have Esiwa 1, Esiwa 2, we have Beposo, we have Enyinasi, we have Yapesa, Kokobing. So a number of them, we have communities for the Ofin and all of that. What this is, the point I'm using this to make is that along the banks of all these rivers are hundreds of communities, thousands of people who have direct engagement with the river bodies there. They drain that, they use that, in different ways.
Right.
And so,
But this started a year ago.
Yes.
When the program was launched. What's the progress so far with what you're doing with all of this?
Well, if you go to the field, and I will come there, but let me finish making this point,
right,
that it is very important that government fixes this because of all these lives which interact with the water bodies, right? Yeah. So if you go to the field, you will see we have some which are 94% complete, 59% complete, 66%, 56%, 23%, and then 59%.
That's from the Brim River and all the
all of that.
Okay.
All of that. So, and this is a good indication of the progress and the forcefulness that the government is putting in resolving this Galamsey issue or mitigating the impacts of Galamsey.
So it's not a lost cause?
It couldn't be a lost cause, but it would require all of us to make the needed contribution, to be able to do it. Earlier, I think, your panelists did, make very, very important points about concerted multi-partisan efforts.
Right.
Aside it being multi-partisan, we need CSOs, we need the media. So when the media shows milky, samples of water, why are we showing it? Are we showing it to condemn the government? Are we showing it to advocate to Ghanaians that this is our water body? We depend on the water body. We use it for different things. So are we showing it to them to be able to say that, can we stop what we're doing? Or we are showing it to lambast government, that government is not doing enough.
Right.
I was very happy to see the water here with Mr. Kafri Day. And that's because a year or two ago, you would have seen it milkier than that. So I was happy just because I think that there is progress being made, even by that, sample of water that was put here.
Do you think that this initiative, by all means, will be able to let Galamseyers feel that it is attractive enough to resort to that rather than Galamsey? Let's say reclaiming of the lands. You talked about the process you have to go through before you even get to the final stage where either the water is clean or the plants are replanted into the earth. So in the cleaning process or in ensuring that all the chemical components that have been put into the land whilst Galamsey was being done, you're going to use youth to do that. And that's creating alternative jobs for them.
Yeah. So we need to recognize that Galamsey is illegal. And just like other vices in society, it needs the tough measures that we're putting in for, let's say, whether it's armed robbery or rape cases, whatever it is that the society recognizes that this shouldn't happen, Galamsey is one of them. We don't have to treat the issue with kids' gloves. It's a save when it comes to Galamseyers. We try to say that they don't have a livelihood and so they are justified. No. The thousands of people along the river banks, those are lives which are very important, which contribute to the economic development of Ghana. And so, per Mineral and Mining Act, we know that whatever is on the surface of the land, you can, whatever is here, if you have your land, you put your cocoa farm on it, your house, whatever it is, that's yours. If there is anything like a mineral under the land, that is for the president, and he's holding it in trust for all of us Ghanaians.
Right.
So it isn't for one person to go dig it and have it, for him or herself, right? So we need to recognize that it is illegal.
Right.
And so it is not something that we need to treat with kids' gloves. So back from there, and I'm making this point to mean that, people say, is what you're giving to them, is it going to match up the money that they are
attractive enough?
Getting from Galamsey?
Galamsey.
We will make the effort, but we still need to be able to recognize that it is illegal. And I don't want to make a certain point about if somebody goes out, the bullion vans, people go, they do what they do and they get that money. And we want to be able to bring that person in and give that person decent work. We don't ask ourselves the question, are they going to get as much as
when they
get
rob
from
a
bullion
bank?
banks?
Right.
That is never a starter. It should never even come in. But it's a good point to say that, will it be attractive enough?
No, people say that because there's been talks about the unemployment issue in the country.
I do get it. Yeah. So yes, it is. I think that it's about the exposure that they need. So I'll go into two of our programs, which just to demonstrate that it is something that is. So our work, it's all about sustainability. So with Galamsey, there are very damning effects of that, of course, on the environment and even on the person who is pursuing, Galamsey. You can go, you can die, so many, risky adventures, right? We are giving decent work. There is dignity in labor, and we believe in decent work, sustainable work. So it's not work. Mineral resources are not, going to be there forever. They are not finite. They are infinite. So at some point, even when you go to some of the communities, they've mined everywhere and there is nothing for them again. So what should they, what are they going to do now? Right? So because of that, we need to be looking at the sustainability aspect of the job that, we're giving to them, or that the jobs that they are looking forward to do. So when you come to our skills training and apprenticeship, for instance, what we want to do, two sides. Main one is to be able to provide them with mining related skills. So those who are still interested in mining, for which others are, or some of them are, they can, be roped in it, working with, small scale mining companies and large scale mining companies to be able to integrate them, get them a job to do. And then there is generally technical and industrial skills training for them. So auto body repairs, electric engineering, technology, electronics engineering, industrial maintenance, and all of that. We are being very, 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 very specific and targeted on this because we don't want interventions which are all over that people finish and they're really not getting any jobs to do. Because then it won't be sustainable. Then it will not be something that they get to do and think that it's even viable. So we are very targeted, looking at the market. Where do we need skills? Companies, industry, where do people need skills? How can we train these people for the short term and be able to push them, leveraging existing programs and working with existing companies to be able to all support. And that was the point about concerted effort. We're going to train these people. We're going to need them in places, to get decent work to do. And it's up to all of us, to be able to get that done. So that is, for the skills training and apprenticeship. Of course, it's a lot of it. We add in entrepreneurship skills or business support skills to it because, people, you would train somebody, the person will say they are not getting jobs, but maybe it's because of their attitude. You bring somebody to your house to come and tell for you. In no time, that person will even be insulting you, so all of that has to be fixed. Just so when they say they have jobs, people are actually also seeing improvement in the level of skill that they have in terms of both the deliverables and their business conduct to be able to engage them. Then with afforestation is eternal, and I think that I'll be bold to say that. And so this is a very sustainable job. So we cutting trees. Look at this. It has a component of wood.
Yes.
Right? you're not going to use this forever. You're going to replace it. It is wood that we're going to cut from the forest somewhere, carve it into this to use. You've got wood all over the stairs. It's even wood. We've got wood everywhere. We use trees for different things.
That's what's
so
coming
as
out
long
of
as we are cutting
the 80,000 seedlings.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as we are cutting, we need to reforest. We need to revegetate, and that is very important.
Right.
So if we have a module, when we raise 20 million seedlings, the next one, if we get to do it, which we know that the government, with its commitment to Galamsey, is still going to support us to do. What is going to happen is that, so for 20 million seedlings, if we just have to give some to, the different people that we worked with. Okay. You can raise 100,000 seedlings, you can raise 50,000.
Community.
Yes, okay. The different communities. So we actually have 5 seedling sites with a satellite seedling site in Hohoe. Okay. We did some studies, and we realized that a number of people, sort of troop from OT, Volta to these places. So we needed to stop that, because it's an intervention for people who potentially can enter into Galamsey as well. So instead of waiting, doing all the interventions there, and that's where we are creating the jobs, and so then now everybody is also moving there. We needed to be able to, intervene there from the start. So we did that. And with the 5 seedling sites, we don't have to do all the next consignment of seedlings there. They've come, we've shown them how to do it. They know how to do it along the value chain, from, constructing the dams, filling polysacks, whatever, job there is to do along all of that, arranging the field polysac suppliers of seedlings, planting of them, all of that. Now they know how to do it. So, for instance, if it's just about nursing of seedlings, you can do 100,000, you can do 200,000. As long as afforestation or reforestation is eternal, they will keep, nursing seedlings,
and which we also
something to do.
Right.
And it is not the casual workers, for instance. It's a minimum of 100 cedis a day. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, you're getting a minimum of 2,000.
Oh.
Yes, a minimum of 2,000. With the permanent workers, their SNET is paid, and their take-home after tax is 700 cedis. Right. But they are in the communities, they're not picking transportation or doing anything. And they get their breakfast and lunch. That is sorted. But we even have a new program, which is fish farming. I would have to go into the maths of it. But what I'm trying to say is that there is another module that we're introducing. And at the end of your cycle of raising, let's say, 1,000 fingerlings or 1 ton of fingerlings, right? You're going to be able to, or even 2 tons, you're going to be able to make about 50,000 cedis. Nice. So we are very, very targeted. We're very, very particular about the interventions that we want to, roll out, because we, at the end of the project's duration, we want to be able to, measure what we've done, right, and be able to say that we have this level of, percentage of retention. Right. And this is all due to the efforts, the commitment of the government, President Nana Addo Dankor Akufo-Addo. And I think that we don't have, we shouldn't lose sight of that. People do complain a lot about Galamsey, and I think sometimes we do not recognize the progress which is being made. Yes. Because we don't value progress. We value just the end, which is a full stop. But it takes time. On
your note of progress, this morning we did say in the news that Aisha Huang, some witnesses are being called to prosecute her, and now the case is between the Attorney General and Freddie Blay, who is representing Aisha Huang, and the other accomplices caught in the Galamsey business. Now, at Takwa Circuit Court, also the judge has sentenced 2 Nigerians to 20-year prison terms for engaging in illegal mining, commonly known as Galamsey. Well, the court ordered that after serving their sentences, the 2 men will be deported to Nigeria. The court also ordered that the excavator with its control board and the water pumping machine has been confiscated to the state. They'll be handed over to the Minerals Commission. Aside from Operation Halt and all of the interventions that are being put into stop galamsey and even to create alternative livelihoods for young people so that they do not resort to destroying our water bodies and would have to import water in the near future. But these are the interventions that are being made on the legal front and in the area of creating jobs and employment opportunities. You were big on sustainability. We're out of time, but with the seedlings, with fish farming and all of that, what's the sustainability mechanism? You talked of dams. Are the dams going to be the irrigation source for these seedlings that the young people will use?
Yeah, the dams, once you have a seedling site, it's a whole construction, you know. I think the video which we even shown, you know, had that. And maybe you should, you know, pay a visit to a seedling site and then you will see all of that, you know, for yourself. You know, with what you read, I think I'd like to make the point that, you know, the NPP government is very, very committed to dealing with the issues of galamsey. I mean, in my lifetime, I haven't seen any government making these efforts on galamsey at the extent of their political fortune. It's not an easy thing for a politician to put their political capital, you know, at stake for an intervention that should concern all of us as Guineans. And I believe that, you know, posterity will judge the president, the minister, you know, our leaders spearheading this effort very, very kindly and very, very, you know, favorably as well.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on our show. Dr. Louise Carol just telling us about the National Alternative Employment Livelihood Program, the 6 modules that are rolled out. It's been 12 months since it was launched by President Nana Akufo-Addo last year, and there's been a nationwide tour as well. She talked about the seedlings that they've put in place, the satellite seedling centers that they're growing to reclaim our lands. The young people have been engaged in over 220,000 jobs across these mining areas and these mining communities. Give them some sort of attractive alternative instead of going into this illegal mine. We've talked about the legal ramifications that are being rolled out also to persons caught in this Galamsey Act, nationals and foreigners alike. I am Multi-Decider Sadek. This is how we wrap up the Minerals Commission conversation on our show today. Today, you didn't see the CEO, Mr. Martin AC, but Dr. Louise Carol, the justice to what we spoke about today. We'll take a break.